You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Becca's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney.
And this episode number 6 of season 2 of the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing in downtown Springfield and in Amherst, by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. You can give them a call anytime for your fall cleanup, and by our friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam, alongside Matt Baker. I am Steve Forney. Matt, how are you, my friend?
Doing okay. Doing all right. It was a tough weekend for us here in the Baker household. We had to put down our 12-year-old German short-haired pointer, Charlie. So, we missed Saturday's game. It's been a tough weekend. It's been a tough weekend, as anyone who has pets know. It's, they're your unfiltered, unwavering companion, right? So it's been tough. The boys it comes and goes in waves, but we'll get there. We will get there. And I also want to say I apologize. I did forget to post our Monday fan rant today, just in the hustle of everything. I didn't get a chance to make it Sunday night. And then today I spent all day at a PE conference for work up in Worcester. So I didn't get a chance to post that, but fans, please, by all means, I will do my best. I usually make them Sunday night and then, schedule a time for it to be posted Monday. But in the event that I don't, you can always send us a message on Facebook to either one of our personal pages, or you can message our Shake, Rattle, and Goal Facebook page as well. You can message us on Instagram. We do check that. So, again, I apologize for that. But, I think, Steve, we both have plenty to rant about.
Oh, sure
today,
do.
right?
Yes.
So, but we do want to hear from you also. But please you don't have to wait for me to do that, fans. Feel free just to message us your thoughts at any point, and we're happy to put that through the waves when we can.
Yeah, and all the people over the weekend who said, Steve, why are you on your phone the whole game? Because you were looking at me in the box. I was writing notes for this very show, because I there were so many takeaways from especially Saturday night's game that I just had to get them down in real time. Mm-hmm. Just knowing how my brain operates, I would have forgot everything the next day. So I got a full slate here of notes, and I think there are things here that people will agree with, they might disagree with, and maybe we can all kind of learn something about it together too. Mm-hmm. But before that, we had the game against. So we are going to get into that game. I think the fans were really had more excitement out of that Lehigh Valley game, and how could you not? Because it's the same old song and dance with these Bridgeport Islanders, who again are in last place.
Yep.
And they come in and they just looked like the better, faster, quicker, stronger, more organized team. And I think my biggest takeaway over the weekend, and I think this is something that we're going to see a lot this year, and especially when we don't have guys like Pekka, Tucker, McEachern, like when these guys aren't in the lineup. We've talked about how this is a young team, and sometimes it's not even about age. The guys on Bridgeport, their best players, have been on that team playing together for 3, 4, 5 seasons. Yeah. Lehigh Valley, their top 5 scorers have played together in that organization for 3, 4, 5 years. So they might not be as talented as some of the players on the Springfield roster, but when you have that cohesiveness, you have that unity, you know where everybody else is on the ice, there's less roster turnover. You're able to put together a halfway decent power play. You're able to know where people are to get greasy goals. These are things that Springfield's not there yet. And, Tommy Cross said Thanksgiving. I said it might even take a little longer than that, but that's what's going to happen when you run into teams that, regardless of where they are in the standings, if they've been playing together for 3, 4 seasons and you haven't, it's going to be a tough matchup no matter who you play against.
Yeah. And I want to echo something you said last week's show, I believe, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but I think it was just, it screams what happened in my opinion this weekend. And you brought up sort of, friend of the show, Sam Bitten, and how it seemed like last year, maybe there might not have been a lot of scheme development in his game. And I think right now with a new, very new team with a new coach, all of that has sort of been this is an assumption I'm making, but it has to be difficult for even your quote unquote, your veterans, your old guys, your Pekkas, your McEachrons, the ones you kind of lean on as leaders. Zach Dean, to an extent, you're getting hurt after 2 games. And so, their ability right now, I think this weekend for me in total, like both games looked a bit jumbled. For the first time this weekend, I didn't see, because I'm okay with, you see a guy slashing to the net or crashing the net, and here's Silvergard over by the dot. He's trying to dump it in, but just a puck bounced over a stick, an unlucky bounce, or a guy made a good defensive play, and you're like, oh, I see what they were trying to do. They just didn't execute it yet, right? I expect that. I'm okay with that. I felt like this weekend you didn't see as much of that, of just like the missed plays. So I agree with you. I think right now, they're still working on cohesion. They're still working on fitting that scheme together with guys who maybe developmentally might not be there yet, like where they should be. But here I am again, being a breath of optimism. Even though the outcomes of the games weren't what we wanted, at least, the game on Saturday, you saw the fight, literally saw effort. I think, and even Coach Konowalchuk said this in his post-game wrap up with Ryan. Friday, there might not have been smart hockey plays, turnovers in the neutral zone, and we'll get into all this. On Saturday, those things were corrected. So sort of what we were echoing saying last week, where we see a team that is buying into a coach message. This is a rough start. It's 3-7. It's not, after 10 games, not where we want to be, not where we thought we would be. We're fighting injuries and young guys playing a lot more minutes than I think we anticipated. They seem to be still on board with what the coach is trying to put through, and effort will be there. So, I'll be the breath of optimism for a few minutes.
And we all saw firsthand last year how long it took guys like Bolduc and Dean to figure it out, right? And so, like, when I see Kaskamaki, who I thought, again, had a really good weekend, I thought he was all over the place. Energy, excitement, really good puck pursuit. That's great. Where next is the scoring, right? Next you got to pot a couple, right? And at the same time, it's like, Dvorsky, this kid can score in tight. He can score on shots from the point. He can score from anywhere on the ice. Can we work on now the back checking, the defense, anticipating pucks through the neutral zone, breakouts, right? Like all those kind of things. So I think each player sort of comes in with their own strength, and now it's time to tailor that and really improve the game in specific areas. And the one player that I think, and you brought him up, that I thought, again, was really all around excellent was Dylan Peterson, who I just, again, took just a brutal slap shot from the point somewhere. It looked like, let's call it the lower region. And he had a hard time getting off the ice. And then, 5 minutes later, he's back, but I do, to what you're saying, a guy like Corey Schooneman, who's played in this league a long time, we're going back to the games last week. If you're more confident with the people around you, maybe when you have that wraparound attempt, against Grand Rapids, you're just like, screw it, I'm just going to bury this thing, right?
Yeah.
But he's the older guy trying to help out the kids. And so, there's a young player. Like, I don't know what's going through their head, but if you have the confidence and the experience of playing with a particular group of guys, maybe that affects your decision making. You know what I mean? And we've seen, how many times have you seen guys at all levels make one too many passes? It's like, dude, shoot, like, what are you doing? So I do think there is an element to that, and I think that's where they might be leaving some goals on the table. My issue is, and I was surprised to hear Connor Walchuk say that, is I think the neutral zone was an absolute disaster this weekend. I think that they couldn't stop anything and they couldn't get anything set up. Yeah. And when you're allowing teams to come in to your zone, get clean entry, and kind of set up shop, you're already setting yourself back. At the same time, if you need a line change or you're looking to push offense and you can't successfully make 2 or 3 passes or even just carry the puck through the neutral zone to get that into that offensive zone, you're not going to have a lot of options. So, Bridgeport, I thought, looked organized, and it showed. I mean, their power play, I was watching their power play. There was a time where there was, 4 consecutive passes, and they were all tape to tape, and they were all like one touch. Like, bang, 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 bang. And it was like, whoa. Like, first of all, I didn't know Bridgeport could do this. But second of all, we get on our power play, and it's pass, cradle the puck, look, pass, cradle the puck, look, pass, cradle the puck, look. It's like there's no, like, are we in something? What are we running? How are we? Who is the open man? What shot are we looking for? And again, I never played. I'm a lacrosse guy, so we have power plays in lacrosse, and it's all about movement. It's about making the defense move. The more they have to move, the more spaces and gaps are going to be open. And when you're sort of stagnant with the puck, that allows the defense to be organized, stay organized, not waste a lot of energy, get sticks in the lane. That thing's got to whip around. And even the goal that Dvorsky scored in the power play goal against Lehigh Valley, I mean, that was slow to develop, and it was him and Bushinger. And then we're talking about 2 rookies, right? These guys are barely 20 years old, but Dvorsky to Bushinger, and then they switch spots, and then Bushinger gives it back to Dvorsky, and then he creeps in on the blue line, and then he just does what he does. It's just
rips it,
and it goes in. But it wasn't like a bing bang boom, backdoor, find the open. You know what I mean? So like, I think that will come over time, which is they're not there yet.
One thing I noticed, and I actually want to say this, round of applause for Z. I thought goaltending in general, I thought, was as strong as it could be this weekend. But, I was critical of Z last week's show. I thought this game Friday night against the Islanders, he led in 4, but man, did he make, I mentioned it, like, where are those moments where Z just makes a save and you're just like, all right, now we got it. Like, Z's like, I got your back. He had their back. Z did everything he could Friday night. I thought it was the opening night game, Z looked phenomenal. That was, what we're accustomed to seeing from him. I thought Friday night was his, next best game. He was good. He was moving all over the place, making saves, sprawling on the ground, using his pads. I thought he did really well Friday night. I did have one comment on the power play and something that I've noticed watching, and I don't know if this has to do with their struggles on the power play, the Thunderbirds' power struggles, but when we are setting up our penalty kill, let's start there. We, and Scott Harrington kind of talked a little bit about sort of the scheme of what you're trying to do, where you've got 2 players, but we seem to still sit sort of in the middle, and we kind of, protect that house in between the circles. That is what's allowed. We don't do a whole lot of movement. Like, we're not pressuring the puck or the player. We're sort of like, hey, I'm not giving you a shooting lane. And I think that's why Bridgeport, for example, can bing, bang, boom, make these passes, because Springfield is kind of sitting back in a little bit of a tighter zone. Now, and their players, they're not idle, right? They're not just standing there, but pay attention to this. When we are on the power play, and again, this could be because up until Saturday's, game against Lehigh Valley, they were like something like 2 for 30 something. So there isn't right now a threat of this Springfield power play, but the opposing team's penalty kill is pressuring out to the boards. And how they're playing the backside, they're sort of using the two backside defenders, playing more in the middle, protecting the crease, and almost ignoring the backside offensive players. So essentially what's happening on our power play right now, because other teams are taking away half the ice, is a 4-on-4. And because other teams are pressuring us against the boards, we're not really able to sort of gather the blue line and play with it. Now, once we're able to do that, that kind of sets the teams back a little bit into their tighter zone, but we're not able to enter the zone with any sort of cohesion right now. And look, 2 power play goals on Saturday. Maybe that gives the team a little bit of confidence. I'm sure it's something they're practicing this week. But that's just something I've noticed. And again, I'm not a hockey player, right? So this is just my observation, but I'm watching us kill a penalty, and we're kind of in a little bit of a tighter zone and pressuring, trying to eliminate shooting lanes, which is fine. But once a penalty or a power play, establishes itself in our defensive zone, we kind of like, all right, we'll concede all the passes you want. We're just going to try to eliminate shots. And again, their penalty kill has been okay for as many penalty minutes as they've had. I think their penalty kill's been okay. So that seems to work. But because we have no threat right now of a power play, other teams, what they're able to do is just sort of pressure the puck a little bit more, where they're not even worried about, hey, we're not even going to worry about you trying to pass it or get a shot off because you can't. So we pressure the puck. We will pressure you. We'll lock it up against the boards and we'll kill the penalty that way. We'll clear it. And then you will stop you coming through the neutral zone again. So, that's just one observation I made this weekend. And you're right. It was the second goal, the second power play goal from Dvorsky on Saturday, I believe. Mm-hmm. Is the one you were talking about. And that was just a snipe shot by Dvorsky. I almost wonder if, as the season goes on, I know he's not our biggest body, but, with his quick hands, can do you, as he gets stronger, as he gets more confident with his game here in the AHL, can he play a little bit lower and sort of hopefully try to clog up, maybe get a redirection, or with his quick hands, sort of get a little rebound kind of shot coming off the goalie. And the other thing I've noticed, and there's no way I can't stat this, and the AHL does not keep track of this, but shots off target or blocked shots. The shot totals, and we'll probably talk about this, were not in our favor this week.
I did the math. They're not great.
However, I would bet, and I'm somewhat of a betting man, that if we included blocked shots or just shots off target, right? Shots that
shot attempts. Yeah, shot attempts. The saves, blocks, and shots wide. Yeah.
It would be a little bit closer. And I don't know if that's, again, not a lot of chemistry, cohesion yet. Making the wrong pass, not making one more pass, making one pass too many. I don't know why or what, but it just seems like a lot of shots are either not getting to the goaltender to be like, they're getting blocked, or they're just off target.
Bridgeport blocked a lot of shots.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I mean, I don't know the number.
I wasn't able to stat it, on my phone or anything. And maybe I'll try to do that. I should. Well, I don't know how.
It's not up to you. It's up to the league. It'd be great if the league could start keeping
the league
that.
ever did that. Yeah.
Block shots and time on ice. Those are the two things that I wish we had more of a track on. But no, you're right. And there was a lot of shots that the sound of the glass, the puck hitting the glass, just
Yeah.
reverberating through the Mass Mutual Center. It's like good opportunities that are gone by. And again, young guys that aren't used to playing the style of defense, young guys that came from Europe that are still learning the angles of AHL hockey, or just the other team is in a shooting lane, and so you got to shoot it, but you don't want it blocked, so you kind of just fling it and hope for the best. So yes, I will give them credit that Bridgeport did a lot of shot blocking, but I mean, the final shot totals in the 2 games, they were outshot 78-47. And they only had 47 shots all weekend. Lehigh Valley had 43 just Saturday.
Yeah.
So, it's noticeable, and I think it's indicative of what I'm seeing on the ice. Like, there was like, what do you care about shots, Steve? I think it's a reflection of the game. I mean, Lehigh Valley, I know we talked about it last year. It was the kind of same thing where you're defending, and then you get the puck just so you can clear it to make a line change.
Right.
Like, the best chances Springfield had was guys coming down by themselves while all the other 4 guys are making a line change, and they're 1-on-3. Like, you're 1-on-3 entering the zone, you're going to get that puck taken away from you. It's not going to work, right? So there was a lot of that, particularly on Saturday. And I mean, so again, most of my notes here are from Saturday. I don't know. Do we want to just kind of get right into that game? Because that was sort of the game of the weekend, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, really, the only thing I had really from Friday is I just wanted to make sure we give credit to Zrenko, because, I was critical of him. But I really thought this was a better performance from him. And, a score of 1-4 is not indicative of how he actually, that's not goaltending, no, he made some phenomenal saves, some breakaway saves. He made saves on their first power play. I think it was their second power play that they scored on.
I found myself by the end of Saturday's game going, these poor goalies, man, both of them, these poor goalies. And even Z's, I think it was the save of the game where he had to go post to post and stop a guy. And you watch the replay, and the defender there on the far post just kind of sort of in la la land, not like, how do you let that pass get through to the far side? Like, what are you looking at? Right. So again, I think there's some growing pains going on. There's some stuff that they're going to have to get over. And yes, I thought that if I had to pick the 2 best players from the weekend, it's Zrenko and it's Colton Ellis. I mean, They were both just absolutely outstanding. Now, so this is what makes my job a little bit more challenging when we go to a game like Saturday, because when you're a fan, that's exactly what you're looking for. Wild game, fights. I mean, Sam and what's his name there from Lehigh Valley, they were ready to go before the puck even dropped. Garrett Wilson. They were actually scrumming it up. I don't know if AHL TV or Flow Hockey showed it, but
no,
the puck hadn't even dropped yet, and they had to be separated by the refs. And just another sort of stupid rule that the NHL and the AHL have is you can't fight right off a face-off. Like, you can't just drop the puck and then 2 guys throw off the gloves. They've banned that. Why? Because they hate fun, I think. I don't know. They say that, well, we don't want it to look staged. It's like, okay, so if they wait 20 seconds and then throw off the gloves, and they meet at center ice, does that look less staged? Right? Like they're going to fight. Let them fight, right? So for a fan,
I don't understand, and sorry, not to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
If you as a league allow fights, I hate this putting restrictions and requirements of them. I'm with you. They're all staged. Like we highlighted last week. Hey, sorry, kid, I didn't jump you, did I? They're all, to an extent, staged.
It's either because one guy did something that the other team didn't like and they're going to fight, or like you said, I'm a young kid. I want to make my mark on the team. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's remember one of the 2 things.
Last year with Providence, I think it was Wyatt Kalanick. He takes a cheap shot on Lysell. Guess what happened next game? It was you knew it was coming, right? So they're all, to an extent, 80% of them are staged. So I'm with you. It's silly. It's foolish. If you're going to do it, let them do it,
Yeah. And so So I hate to beat up on the refs. I really do. But there were points in this game where it didn't have to be like this. And again, from a fan perspective, if I had paid good money and I was sitting up in section 12 drinking beer and I saw 5 fights and 80 something penalty minutes, regardless of the score, I'd be like, that was fun, right? Like that was a good time. Like that game had energy and blood and fighting and yelling, and it was a great time. 4 guys in the penalty box at the time. It's great because that's what the NHL and the AHL don't understand is that people like fights and they're going to pay money to see fights, and you don't want fights, but you want people to come and watch your product. So it's like, sorry, NASCAR, people like crashes. I hate to tell you, but they like seeing cars go flipping around and metal being thrown everywhere, right? And obviously they don't want that. Like, so you're gonna have to figure out this contradiction as you go. From my perspective, it makes the game longer, way more confusing. But I was just really surprised at the referees not nipping this in the bud, and you could tell that they didn't. I don't think they anticipated it being that kind of game. But like once it gets to that point, and this is a Casey Terreri question. If it happens that early in the game, right? You haven't even dropped the puck yet, and you got 2 guys wanting to bash each other's face in. Don't you instinctively change? Like the refs were not in control of that game. The players were. They did whatever they wanted. And so we had Sam and Garrett Wilson before the puck drop. Then the puck drops. The first thing that happens, Sam skates by Garrett Wilson. Wilson reaches behind his back and grabs Sam's stick and holds onto it to the point where Sam had to put 2 hands on his stick and rip it out of his hands. Okay. Now everybody in the entire arena is staring at these 2 players. And you know that they want nothing more than to rip each other's faces off. Yet you're going to let that go? As a ref, bing, 2 minutes, holding the stick, go to the box. We're not doing this. Right? You're in control of that game, not them. 2 minutes, goodbye. Right? Every single scrum, every single whistle at the puck, there's a scrum. Start throwing guys to the box. You and you, goodbye. We're going 4-on-4. I'm not doing this. Goodbye. Go sit down. None of it. There was none of it. Late in the game, I think it was right before the what was the last fight?
The one, I think, was that a Dylan Peterson? He got kicked out of the game for the game misconduct for his second altercation.
No, so so it was Harrington and Gardner. So Harrington had to go after Gardner, and again, I don't think the score was close at that point, but the guy dropped Corey Schooneman face first on the ice. No call. Like, they had opportunities to assert themselves, take over the game, and play hockey, and the refs just didn't want to do it, and I don't understand why. And they were staring at plays saying, no, we're going to let that go. And the secondary altercation thing, which again I think is stupid. It's just a dumb rule. This is not about the refs. It's just a dumb rule. If there's one fight going on, that means that 2 other guys can't fight. Why? Just get it all out. Just let them get it out. It's not like there's 5 fights going on. There's 2 fights going on. Just let it happen. Now you're going to start throwing guys out of the game. I think the rules are just really sort of stupid. And you get a night like that where they're not properly implemented, the game goes completely off the rails. And so I know that I said at one point, I was like, well, no matter what the final score, the people in this building, most of them are going to leave with a smile on their face saying that was awesome. Why?
One game.
Why? For all the things the AHL and NHL don't want. Right? They don't want the fighting. We had 6,000 people left with smiles on their faces. So like you guys, you as a league got to figure this out.
I should have said this again. My brain is fried, folks. I apologize. Some people were also smiling. I want to give a shout out to my school, Granger Elementary. That's the school where I work at, for doing God Bless America and singing before the game. So job well done, kids. Proud of you. You made us all proud here representing Granger. Job well done. And another great thing, not just the T-Birds do, but I think the AHL in general does a really nice job of having schools come to the games, all the time and honoring, like Agawam night. We go to Agawam night every year, and my kids sing on the ice during James Clark night. And so job well done, kiddos from Granger. You made us proud.
Yeah. And they do. And again, one other thing that's a pain in the neck for me, but that's okay. Totally worth it. When you got one group singing this, one group singing that, ceremonial puck drop, people holding the flags, people, the blue line buddies. it's all what it's all about, right? It's not
Yeah.
about me. It's about, and I'm obviously happy to do it because that's what keeps the fans coming back, and that's what gets it's memorable for the kids. My kids still talk about coming on the ice and doing God Bless America. So they just do a wonderful job of that.
But I want to go back to, because I think you're 100% right with, having a pulse of the game is the referee's job. Like, that's what they're there. They are refereeing the game. It is their job to have a pulse on what's going on. And when you can sense something brewing pregame, which it was, HLTV didn't pick on it. I didn't pick up on anything like that, but clearly, the refs got to know that's going on. I would understand, all right, you guys get your fight out of the way, move on, but then you've got to do a better job of sort of ending it there. All right, boys, that's done. Now let's play some hockey, and I would agree with you. It just, emotions got carried away, and you didn't see guys backing down. You saw guys, again, we've talked about this before. Players are going to do what they are allowed to do. They're going to go to that line and they're going to skate right over it. Unless they're pulled back, they're going to keep pushing forward. That's in any sport. And, I think this was an example of what were the minutes? It was a Springfield Thunderbirds record for penalty minutes in the game. 74.
80. According to this, there were 88 combined penalty minutes. 45 for Springfield, 43 for Lehigh Valley.
Sheesh. That's too much. Too much. I mean, I like a fight.
Well, and the funny thing is I still feel like the game was under officiated.
Yeah.
Right. Because there was 5 fights times 5 minutes. So 50 of those penalty minutes were on fights.
So that's what I mean. Yes.
If you just called a couple of minors, you don't have any of that.
Right.
And it happens quick because you have a fight 21 seconds in. 4 minutes later, again, a clean hit. Hunter Skinner buries a guy into the boards. Tuamala slashes him. And then bang, Skinner's fighting McDonald. And okay, now we're out of control, right? And so they tried. They called a slash on Tuamala. That was their attempt to quell the game a little bit. But then 3 minutes later, you get Avon and Silvegaard fighting. That was right after a very simple play towards the net that could have been avoided. And now the game's gone. Now we're 7 minutes into the game. There's been 3 fights and it's completely out of control.
Yeah.
Because again, if you just called the holding the stick penalty and 20 seconds in, Sam and the other guy don't fight. Now you're already in control. They can fight in the second. They can fight 8 minutes from now, but you've taken control of that game. Sam and why do I keep forgetting this? He's been in the league forever. Garrett Wilson. And he's a super nice guy, by the way.
Yeah.
They were in control of the game, not the officials. And that is, again, from my seat, from the officials' perspective, not how it's supposed to work.
Right.
Fans, you guys loved it. Totally understand. I loved it too. Both of those, the Sam fight right at center ice was beautiful. The Hunter Skinner fight was literally right in front of me. They're putting the hand on the glass literally in front of me to brace themselves. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
And I was fired up. I'm, banging on the glass of the penalty box, But when we're talking about the game of hockey, it was a hot mess. And that's because the officials just didn't feel like doing their job. And Stephen Hiff, I think, should know better. I believe, does some NHL games. He's been known to take control of the game. He just didn't at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my take on the chaos. Yes, I'm glad you guys enjoyed yourself. But the guy Gaucher gets a hat trick for Lehigh Valley. Again, just guys that have played together. These names we've seen: Belpedio, Helga Grans, Ronnie Addard, Ollie Lixell, Wilson. Tuamala's been there. Adam Jennings been there. Zaid Wilson, Wisdom, Desnoyers. These guys have literally all been playing together for, I would guess, 3 to 4 seasons. And so I don't care what their record is when they play against a team that's not gelled, that's not experienced. That's what's going to happen 9 times out of 10, whether it's us or any other team. So I thought that was a big part of it. One other big takeaway that I had from the weekend, I will tell you about. But first, See what I did there? We're going to talk to our friends. We're going to hear from our friends at White Lion Brewing, proud sponsor here at the SRG podcast. They have a location in Amherst on North Pleasant Street. And of course, they are right in downtown Springfield at Tower Square. Make sure that you park in the Tower Square garage, take your ticket, bring it down to White Lion. They will validate your parking for you. And then again, the garage is right next to the highway, right next to Route 5. Easy in, easy out. Better than the waiting at the MGM garage for sure. And while you're there, have some of their nachos, Boomer Nachos, Seuss Mac and Cheese, some Hall of Fame wings, tons of beer that they have on tap. And if you don't get it there, make sure you check it in your local liquor store cooler by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. I think I did it again this week. I think next weekend will be my last acorn leaf weekend. I'm looking up. I'm doing this Sunday, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, God Almighty, can you just fall, please? I'm just so tired of it. If you're like me and you just hate doing it, or you're not going to do it at all, nothing wrong with that. Just call up Rob at Landscaping That Fits, and he will come over and do your fall cleanup for you. While you're there, talk to him about setting up fertilizer for the spring. Right, that's going to be here before you know it. Get on his list because it's going to go quick. Right, don't wait till March to call about getting whatever it is, overseeding or fertilizer, whatever you need. Give Rob a call at 413-847-0338. That's 847-0338. Tell him that the folks at SRG sent you. And by our friends at Brewcade, the Sarnelli family in Agawam, right there on Walnut Street. It's sort of across from there's if you go over the bridge from the Big E, there's like the Rocky's Ace Hardware, and then across the street there's like the TD Bank and the Walgreens. He's
right behind the TD Bank,
right, nice and neatly tucked in that brick building there. Really cool spot. Again, just a great time for the whole family. Go let the kids go bananas while you enjoy a couple of brewskis. Or if you're like me and you're still a video game nerd like you were when you were 12, feel free to hop on some of the games that they have there as well. But it's a really cool spot. It's a chill spot. If you're looking for something to do, check it out for sure. And give them a follow on social media as well. That's Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam. A wonderful sponsor here for the SRG podcast.
Yep.
So I mentioned something over the weekend. One of my biggest takeaways was the neutral zone. And I felt like they lost a lot in the neutral zone. Like if we were ticking as to who won this neutral zone draw, I bet it was very, very one-sided against the Thunderbirds. The other thing that I had that sort of ties in with that was offensive zone face-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is where I think to myself, like, man, you need Matthew Pekka in here to just win you a big offensive zone face-off, because they were having a hard time getting through the neutral zone to set up offense. When they were bringing it into the offensive zone, like I said, it was oftentimes one dude against three while the other four were making a line change, right? So, and if you dump it in, you're just dumping it into them and then getting a line change and they're bringing up the ice, right? So setting up and organizing in the offensive zone was a real challenge this weekend. And they had a lot of opportunities with offensive zone faceoffs.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose them, that's it.
Yeah.
They're gone, right? So I thought that they had a lot of, and I mentioned it, I think maybe in the first period, I mentioned it to one of the guys in the penalty box. And it was funny. The whole rest of the game, he's going, well, Steve, there's another one. Well, there's another one. There's another one. I mean, we counted like 8 or 9 of just lost faceoffs right there in the offensive zone. And if you're struggling to get offense and generate offense, you can't squander these kind of opportunities where the net's right there, you're organized. All you got to do is win that drawback, and you're either possessing or you're shooting or you have options. They didn't have the opportunity to even have those options this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. And that's, Pekka's big there. But, I think that's when you got to lean on a guy like a Drew Callen. I think, I saw Dvorsky taking a few, but again, rookie, not excuses, right? We know he can still win them. But I think this is now, until Pekka comes back, you've got to lean on a guy like Drew Callen to win those offensive zone faceoffs. Because you're right, they're huge. And when you're struggling to get into your offensive zone, you're struggling to make it through the neutral zone, that work's already done. You're already through the neutral zone here. It's an offensive zone faceoff. So you win that. Now you can set something up. You got to have a play drawn up play or two. And you got to execute that. But without winning that offensive zone faceoff, again, now we're putting ourselves in a position where we're scrambling, we're chasing the puck just to now get back in that cycle of dump and change. I would expect, though, I mean, I am optimistic from in a standpoint where, things that we notice, and if we are noticing them, if fans are noticing them, the coaching staff is noticing them, the players are noticing them. We're not breaking any news with the coach to say, oh, I got to listen to those boys on the SRG.
Well, and they have a great video coach as well, and Jeff Jordan, who I'm sure is seeing the same things we're seeing.
But I'm confident that they'll be addressed at practice. Like, these things will also be said at practice. And as long as we continue to see team buy-in and player buy-in, which we are seeing, these things will get rectified. These things will get fixed. And hopefully people's bodies, it looked like Laffy went out again Saturday.
I think so.
I think I couldn't tell if was that a shot he took or something like that, but
I think,
or if it hit, but look, we are, again, it's not excuses. Nobody's feeling sorry for us. We're banged up. And so, you got to get healthy and you'd like to be a little bit you'd like to be in a little bit of a better spot at 3-7 at this point in the year to stay afloat until the reinforcements come. But we're banged up at the moment, so we're asking guys to do stuff that they might not have been asked to do. But this is hockey, and these guys have been playing hockey since they were 4, and they know how to skate, they know how to get a puck through a neutral zone, they know how to take a check, they know how to deliver a check, they know how to take a shot. They know how to make a pass. They know how to do this stuff. Now it's just a matter of let's execute and let's do it. Let's do it.
I also thought that there was a little bit. I thought that the physicality was lacking. I think it was hard to not be physical against Lehigh Valley based on the way that the game was going.
Sure.
But I saw a lot of, like, I don't know. They were almost like hits for show, body contact for show. Like they would make contact, but they weren't hitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy is there and you put your hands on him and you bump him. Like, okay, so you hit him like 30%. If you hit him 60%, he's on his rear end. Like, hit him. Like, if you're going to hit him, hit him. You know what I mean? Like, I saw a lot of that where maybe they're just uncomfortable with their current state, but with all that going on that we talked about in that game with the physicality and the fighting, to me, it came down to the fact that Lehigh Valley's record wasn't very good. They haven't played very particularly well, and neither have the Thunderbirds. And so for me, I just saw two teams that just needed to get it out of their system. They've been frustrated. Yeah. They haven't been playing well now, and they're PO'd, and now's a good time to start smashing each other. I expected a little bit more physicality from the Thunderbirds that wasn't necessarily the fighting. Sure. And I will say Hunter Skinner played physical as heck. Silvegaard played physical as heck. Dylan Peterson was running over everything in his path. So there were spurts of it, but there was a lot of guys where it's like, this is the AHL, and if you don't hit them, they're going to hit you. You know what I mean? And it's the attacking. It's kind of like we were talking about the power play or with the penalty kill. If you're going to sit back and let them do their thing rather than attack, I don't know how well that's going to work out for you. It's the same thing with hitting. If you're going to sit back and let them come at you, you could end up on your rear end. Like, hit them before they hit you, right? So I think that there was a lot of opportunities for more physical play in both games that we didn't see.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, look, they have a quick turnaround here with the annual field trip day game Wednesday morning. So we're going to do our best to get this episode on Tuesday. We're recording Monday, as we always do. So we've got, 3 games this week. It's not a 3-3, but we start at home against the Islanders at 10:35. This is the field trip day game. This is the team we just saw. This is a team we know very well. But here's what I would like to see, though. I would like to just sort of see them own that neutral zone. I don't know. I think if you can, one thing this team has done well, except for Saturday, they've got off to good first period starts. I think you are right. The second period woes continue. I think if you can get an early goal against Bridgeport and dictate the neutral zone offensively, just kind of, dominate's a strong word. Right now, I'm not comfortable saying we can dominate anything, but just control, just win the neutral zone. Because Bridgeport does have speed. They do have breakaway speed. They do have fast players.
And experience.
And right. So make it a little bit more difficult for this Islanders team to get the puck into their offensive zone, have a little bit more confidence in ourselves. 1-2 tic-tac-toe through the neutral zone, kind of breakout pass, when the opportunity is there, but a little bit more deliberate through the neutral zone on both sides of the ice. I think that really will go a long way. These are two teams that, standing wise, not doing very well. But in the past year and a half, I mean, Bridgeport has been our daddy, and we need to change that. I think it is a good thing. You're very possible that you're right, where these are two teams that, with the Phantoms, they're not playing well. They needed to get this big fight out of the way. We've talked about this, though. We talked about this last year, sort of. Do you see a quick fight? This is a 10:35 puck drop on a Wednesday morning. Nobody, this is not an excuse. I think this is fact. Nobody is really ready to play hockey. So do you see a quick early fight? Get the fans engaged, let the school kids, let them see a fight, let them get, energized in the stands, energize the bench a little bit, and then play some hockey. And like I said, have a strong first period where you can win the neutral zone. I think that's sort of the key for this Thunderbirds team on Wednesday.
Yeah. I want to see them play. Like, I still don't think we've really seen them play Springfield Thunderbirds hockey. And I don't even know what that means, right? You build your own identity. You create your own identity. And again, I have no problem giving these guys till Christmas. Like, they're so new and they're so fresh. Like, it might be till Christmas till they figure it out. But Saturday they played Lehigh Valley hockey, and the Thunderbirds had to adjust to play their game. Right. Bridgeport played Bridgeport Islanders hockey, which they never get to do. Right?
Unless they play us.
Unless they play us, right? Let's not let them play. Let's get them uncomfortable, right? Let's get them uncomfortable out of their comfort zone. And quite honestly, my message to them would be, if I'm the coaching staff, you're 3-7, they're 2-5-1. You lose, you're in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the basement if you lose this game to Bridgeport. I don't care if it's 10 games into the season. You look at those standings. Fans look at those standings. Other teams look at those standings, and they look and they go, "Oh, great, cool. We got another puddle we can step in."
Mm-hmm.
Right? When they see Springfield on their schedule. Don't be that team that everybody gets to get beat up on. Trust me. I'm a Patriots fan. You're a Giants fan. They are the teams. If your football team stinks, or they're having a really hard time, you lose 3 in a row, play the Giants or the Patriots. You'll turn that around real fast, right?
You feel better about things.
Right.
I hear you.
Don't be the Patriots and the Giants. Don't do it. Don't be in the basement. Be prideful, be mindful, follow those standings, and go out there and again, play Springfield Thunderbirds hockey the best way you know how to do it. So that is my hope. I do just want to say one thing. And again, I'm this is not a political statement at all. I despise politics. But this always makes me nervous. The election is Tuesday night. I have no idea what Wednesday's going to look like. I don't know who's going to win. I don't know who's going to lose. Quite frankly, I don't care. Does that make me a bad American? Maybe. I don't care. I hate the politicians.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
If this election goes,
Not your way.
Right.
Not your way.
I'm concerned about major cities in the U.S. and the people taking to the our person didn't win. Let's take to the streets and burn cars or do whatever stupid thing it is that they do. All I'm saying is be safe. Wednesday.
Please don't do that.
Especially since we're going to have 6,000 kids.
Yeah.
If your candidate loses, can you just scream off your back deck or something? Like, you don't need to go to downtown Springfield with a pitchfork. It's not going to change anything. So please just be careful, right? Just if you're going to the game Wednesday, just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. My wife's school is going and she wants to chaperone, and I'm like, no, no. Stay in the comfort of your school.
Yeah.
I usually bring my students. I usually have a car full of students and they shadow people who work for the Thunderbirds. The Thunderbirds have always been great about allowing my students to shadow. I'm not doing that. I don't want to be in charge of 7 high school kids the day after a major election, one of the most contentious elections.
Yeah.
I want no part of that. So please just be careful Wednesday. That's all.
Well said. I agree. I completely agree with you on that. So we get past Wednesday, hopefully with a win, and then we have 2 back-to-backs with Hershey. This is sort of why, and this is why I highlighted last week's games against Bridgeport and Lehigh Valley as not must wins. They're not have to wins because it's November 1st and 2nd, very early in the season, but you really wanted to win those games because you knew what was coming up and what you don't want to have after, an 0-2 weekend. Now you got Wednesday, 10:35 field trip game against Islanders. Who knows what's going to happen there? And now you got 2 tough ones in Hershey back to back. Saturday, 7 o'clock puck drop. Sunday, a 3 o'clock puck drop. Both in Hershey. I think the good news there is we're not going to see Hershey again for a little while. After this weekend, but you have to have strong showings. And look, I will say this, though. The Thunderbirds, and even last year, they got up for these games. They played Hershey pretty well. You won one. I think you were 1-3 against Hershey last year, but one was a brilliant, the type of game you and I like. I think it was 20-19 shots on goal, 2-1 game. I love that. That's just high intensity, high energy. I love that. So I'll take that any day. But playing a team back to back is tough. We're already, again, depleted from a injury standpoint. This is a tough week. And I think, again, I said this last week, I'm not going to judge was this week successful based on a win-loss necessarily. We need to see improvements. And a lot of the things we talked about that went wrong for the Thunderbirds, I would like to see corrected. And expect to see them corrected. I have faith in the coaching staff. I have faith that the players are listening to the coaching staff. I want to see effort. I want to see hustle. I want to see physicality against the Bears. You can't play expecting any sort of outcome. You just have to play your kind of hockey. And, that's really what I'm just looking to see. I'm okay with 2 tough fought games against the Hershey Bears. The outcomes are what they're going to be, but a little bit more, again, even if it comes in segments, even if it comes in spurts, man, did you 10 minutes Friday or Saturday night against the Bears, a 10-minute period in the second period, Thunderbirds just dominated. Couldn't put one in the net, but they just dominated, right? They controlled the neutral zone. They moved the puck into their offensive zone. They played good off-puck defense. I want to be able to say that. I wasn't able to say that this past weekend. Mm-hmm. So those are again, Islanders, I want to see you play 3 good periods of hockey. Against the Bears, I'll take segments at a time. I just think that's realistic. I think that's a fair expectation. And look, we have solid goaltending. So again, I love hockey for this reason. It's not always the best roster winning. You get good goaltending, you get some lucky breaks, you get a puck to bounce your way. I think you've said this, right? You have to take advantage of power plays. You got to stay out of the box against Hershey. If we're doing those little things and you lose 2-0, 3-1, you win 3-1, like that is great. Stay out of the box.
Overtime. You go to a shootout. Like that's a win. That's a win mentally.
Take advantage of your power plays. And you made this point too, and we see this a lot. Sometimes the puck, it quote unquote bounces your way because you're hustling. Right. And so, that's all it sometimes takes is a puck to bounce your way because you've hustled to sort of make it bounce your way. You out hustle a guy against the boards. You win a puck battle against the boards and it kicks out to a guy slashing to the net and boom, right over the glove. That stuff happens in hockey, but you have to be putting yourself in that position for those things to happen. And that's what I'm looking for against Hershey. Are we winning those hustle battles? Are we engaged in those hustle battles? And the results will be what they are. I want to win Wednesday. That's, again, it's got to be a win on Wednesday. You're at home against the Islanders, a quick turnaround after a sloppy weekend. The Bears, I'm not putting a win-loss on it. I need to see better play. Even in spurts, I'll take that.
And they've a new regime, I get it, new coaching staff, but they have been in the habit of playing to their competition. Yeah. And I think that's why, especially last year, they kept losing to Bridgeport, but they kept playing really well against Providences and Hershey's and Charlottes. So maybe we'll see a little bit of that. I do have 3 super quick shout outs. One is the Laval Rocket are 8-1.
Oof.
Who's that one to?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So you want a little positivity? There you go. Shout out number 2 is to Drew in the Pro Shop. If you're watching on YouTube, this is the most gorgeous hat I've ever seen in my life. It is corduroy. It is 100% corduroy. And I am a super hat nerd. And these are the hats that they made in like the 80s, like Springfield Indians. Like my dad had like a green Boston Celtics corduroy hat. This thing is, Drew, just take all my money. Just take it all. This is the second hat I bought already this season. The other one's beautiful too. Absolutely crushing it in the Pro Shop. Please go check him out. And oh, by the way, they have some more stuff down the pipe that Drew wants to come on the podcast and talk about when the time comes. So we'll keep you posted on that. My third shout out goes to the one and only Adam Gaudette, who has now played 10 games for Ottawa, the big club. He is in the NHL. 10 games played, 6 goals, 1 assist, 7 points in 10 games. He's a +5.
Well done, Adam. Well done. Great job.
If you're St. Louis and you lose a couple of your forwards to injury like they're at now, and we should probably talk about Philip Broberg got hurt as well. He's going to miss probably a month. What's that going to mean for Springfield defensemen? Getting called up, getting sent down, or whatever the case is. Boy, would St. Louis love to have Adam Gaudette in their system right now. Because we've talked about it. You lose another forward. I don't know who's ready to go down here.
We talked about this last week, and I agree with you. I don't know who you're calling up to give you any significant minutes in a game at the NHL level at the moment.
So I bet they would love to have Adam Gaudette, but a shout out. I'm just happy for this guy. What just a great dude. He's from Braintree. He just was awesome here in Springfield, top to bottom. Fans, people, media, staff. He's just a good dude, and it's nice to see him I think he's 28. It's nice to see him get a little bit of the fruits from his effort that he's put in.
Absolutely. So,
congratulations. We'll be keeping an eye on his stats pretty much all season.
I have one shout out to add as well. Bruce Landon was honored with the Bruce Landon Award. The AHL announced on Halloween, on Thursday night, that there is a new award. It's the Bruce Landon Award. It will be presented annually beginning this season to an outstanding hockey operations executive selected by the league's board of governors. So congratulations to our very own Bruce Landon.
And again, people might not realize he hired me for this job 10 years ago. And without him and without this opportunity he's given me, I'm not doing games at TD Garden. I'm not doing games at Mohegan Sun. I'm not doing games in the Mass Mutual Center. So I really, really owe that guy a lot. And he has been so important in my career, and he's just such a nice guy. And he's just, he and my dad had a relationship, a really good friendship. And you're right. There's nobody more deserving for an award named after them than the one and only Bruce Landon. So Bruce, congratulations. Love you. And then I'm really, really proud of you. And I'm sure your family is as well, but it's so well deserved. Matt, thank you for bringing that up. I don't know how I missed it, but you always got my back. I appreciate it. So I think that just about does it. We do want to once again thank our friends at White Lion Brewing in Amherst on North Pleasant Street and in downtown Springfield. Our friends at Landscaping That Fits for all your fall cleanup needs at 847-0338. That's 413-847-0338. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram as well. By the way, side note, if Rob has an account on Instagram that's called Robin Boomer, and every game he goes to, he just takes a selfie with Boomer and post it on Robin Boomer. It's hilarious and totally worth checking out.
Check it out and follow.
So give him a follow. And of course, our friends at Brewcade in Agawam, brews and arcade machines right on Walnut Street. Just look them up and head over there for a good time for yourself, for a date night, for the family, whatever you want to do. It's a great spot.
There you go. Folks, thank you for listening. Again, my mistake with the Fan Rant Monday, but please send us an email, send us a message, and we will be happy to get your rants up there, so it's not always just ours. T-Birds, school day game, Wednesday, away in Hershey on the weekend. Let's get some dubs. Let's go, T-Birds.